All right, All in Soul fans, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. It's Saturday night, which is usually date night for us. We've got a few things cooking. We're going to wrap up with one of the appetizers we like to do before we eat dinner. But I was going to walk you around our kitchen and show you a few things that we do here at the Portera house. All right, let's go. All right, so this is going to be a little bit raw. I haven't really cleaned up the kitchen that much, so Miss Portera is going to be pretty upset with me, but she can bear with it. So first of all, we like to get things set up. All right, we've got artichokes ready to go. That's the dish we're going to do for you. We use our Instapot to do that. And as we come around to our ovens and our stovetop, we got our pans out ready for searing our salmon and our steak. And then we got, most importantly, our fryer over here. That's full of beef tallow. We'll do a video on that at some point. Like I said, pretty raw. Coffee maker's not even clean. All right, so we've got our wine out. We're gonna decant that about 1.5 to 2 hours. That's a nice Sonoma cab. Should be pretty nice. Picked that up today. They told me it'd be ready for the night to drink. We got the sous vide going for our steak. I've got about 1.5 inch, maybe pushing 2-inch New York strip in there from Argentina, nice prime beef. We're gonna sous vide that for about 2 hours, around 120 degrees before we sear it. Here are our Idaho potatoes that we're gonna fry up. We got our nice French fry cutter here. You don't see much peeking behind there. That's for our liveliness before we get into dinner. And just hit temp over here. All right, so these are a few things we do on Saturday nights. Got a couple dishes we'll have coming that are part of our, what we call our Houston's date night. What we'll typically do is we'll have dinner. Let me come back around. Yeah, so we'll have dinner. We'll let the kids go eat in our sunroom over here, and then we'll have dinner in the dining room. We call it our Houston's date night. It's a good way for us to connect on Saturday nights. We've got 4 kids. It's really hard to spend time during the week to talk, to catch up. So we use that 1.5 to 2 hours between 6:30 and let's call it 8:30, 9 o'clock to reconnect and just spend some time together as husband and wife. But thanks for joining us. We're gonna do this appetizer. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll be right back with you. All right, welcome back. You saw around the kitchen. You know what this place looks like now. You know what kind of chaos is going on around here. All right, so one of our favorite appetizers on Saturday nights is artichokes. So 3-step process. It does take a little while, so if you're gonna do this, you probably need hour and a half if you're trying to have these ready at 5 with cocktails, which is what our favorite thing is to do. We love to do these with martinis. So first step is we're gonna steam them in the Instapot for about 30, 45 minutes total. We're only gonna do it for 15 minutes, but it takes a few minutes to heat up. You gotta get the water in there, all that jazz. So about 15 to 20 minutes cooking time in there. And then when they're done, we're gonna let them cool just a little bit. We're gonna season them a little bit. And then we're gonna throw them out on the grill. And we're gonna sear them really nicely with the flame gun. So hang with us. We've got a few things we're gonna walk through here. So the first step is to trim these things up. These are big artichokes. When you pick one, you want it to typically be a little bit heavier than it looks when you pick it up. That means it's full of water and a good quality. You want to be careful because there are spikes on these leaves. We're going to trim some of that off. And then we'll show you how to cut these up. These are nice and green. We're kind of at the end of winter. It's not the best time to buy these, but they're sourcing them from somewhere, perhaps California or somewhere south of the border where they can still grow them pretty nicely. So these look good. We're gonna show you how to cut them up and get them prepped for the Instant Pot. All right, so first step, like I said, there are a lot of spines on here. You could take a pair of scissors and cut each one off individually, but I just like to lop the top off with a fairly sharp knife, and that gives us a nice flat surface at the top. I like to cut the back, and then I like to cut it in half. All right, so that's one. You can see we've got a little bit of fuzz in here. All of these little fuzzy pieces have got needles on them. So we'll get those out, but we'll get them out after the artichoke is softened up a little bit, and it's a little bit easier for us to take it out with a spoon or something like that. All right, so that's one. We'll cut the other one up. Cut off the stem, and we'll cut it in half. And so before we get too far into cooking, I think it's important to talk about what there is to eat in here. So all the leaves, when we're done, we'll show you, but all the leaves have got nice meat on them as you pull them off to eat. You can kind of eat them like a potato chip at the end. But really the beauty of this artichoke is the heart right here in the bottom. A lot of people will end up, when they're making these, they'll just make artichoke hearts and they'll throw all the leaves away. There's good meat on the leaves. It's really tasty with a good dipping sauce, and the heart's absolutely amazing. All right, so we're gonna get these in our Instant Pot. We've got a steamer basket in here. Just back up really quickly. This is a very raw video, so just bear with us. So we've got a steamer basket in here. This is gonna allow us to steam these nicely instead of just sitting in the water and boiling the whole time. We're gonna put about 1.5 cups of water into the Instant Pot, and then we're gonna put our artichokes in. All right, they're ready to go. All right, so we're gonna put them in. We're gonna set this for pressure cook. We're gonna do 15 minutes, and we're gonna start it. So really importantly, you don't wanna let this go too far beyond 15 minutes. There's a lot of things on the Instant Pot where you can rest for a while. You do not wanna rest this. If you rest these artichokes, they're gonna get really gummy or they're gonna get really mushy and not good to eat. So just make sure once your Instant Pot beeps at 15 minutes, you've got it set to cut off so the heat cuts off immediately and you release the air and get the top off pretty quickly. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can easily boil these on the stovetop or use a steamer on the stovetop. It's the same process, but if you're steaming them on the stovetop, you probably want to let them go for 30 minutes versus 15 because you don't have the pressure cooking them faster. And if you're boiling them, you may need up to 45 minutes, depending on the size of your artichokes and depending on how mature they are. All right, we're gonna let this cook for a little while, and when they're done, we'll come back and we'll show you how we get them on the grill and we put a nice sear on them so they're nice and toasty for our guests. One of the most important things to do while these are cooking is to make our Houston Chef's Dressing mimic recipe. So Catherine and I have been making this for years. It's our favorite thing that goes with our artichokes. Pretty simple to make. You need a few ingredients. I'll walk you through those. It helps to have a hand blender. Again, you don't have to have one of those. I'll talk you through that. All right, so this recipe is made up of mayo, some herbs. We got some anchovies here, just bear with me. If you don't like anchovies, I promise you, you won't taste them once you make this. A little bit of garlic and a little bit of lemon. All right, so first step is we're gonna take our anchovies, we're gonna put them in here. This essentially is creating umami, which is a very savory flavoring. It's really hard to define, but it's a savory flavoring for our chef's dressing. You're not gonna taste anything fishy once we make this. All right, then we're gonna get our lemons in here. Be careful to keep the seeds out, so I like to use another one of our unitaskers. For somebody who hates unitaskers, I definitely have a lot of products that perform one task. All right, so we got one full lemon in there. Got that juiced. Look, you can use granulated garlic if you want to. You can use garlic if you want to. But I've got some fresh garlic on hand. I'm gonna get one clove busted up. We're gonna do just a real quick chop on this, real rough, doesn't have to be anything special. And then we're gonna get this in here and we're gonna blend this up with our anchovies. So we're gonna blend this up before we put our herbs in because we want our herbs to stay fairly consistent and we don't want to ruin the texture. All right, so we're gonna blend this up really quickly. We've got our anchovies nice and ground up in there and our lemon juice. Now we're gonna add all the rest of our ingredients. A little bit of freshly ground black pepper. Just about a 1/4 teaspoon of some cayenne pepper. That's gonna give it a little bit of kick, but not too much. 2 tablespoons of parsley. 2 tablespoons of dried chives. And probably the most important ingredient in this whole recipe, this is what you will probably taste the most. If you don't like this herb, you're probably gonna wanna stay away from chef's dressing. But I promise you, if you like even a hint of tarragon, you're gonna love chef's dressing. It's absolutely amazing. We put it on French fries, we put it on salmon, we put it on these artichokes. It's a fantastic dressing for many different dishes. All right, so we got our 2 tablespoons of tarragon in there. And then we have got a whole load of mayo here. So the mayo we use is based on avocado oil. We try to stay away from other seed oils or canola oils, vegetable oils, things of that nature. So I don't measure this too much. Usually I'll put about 9 tablespoons total in there of this. And that will usually give us enough for appetizer and 1 meal. All right, so now we're just gonna mix this up well, get all our herbs mixed in. And that's it. And multiple times I've had people come over and ask me what is in this dressing. When I tell them anchovies, they lose their mind because they don't like anchovies, they don't like fish. They've always thought it was a distasteful type of accoutrement for food, but you really can't taste it. We're gonna let this sit for about an hour in the refrigerator, and that's gonna let all the flavors meld. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So we'll get back to cooking our artichokes in just a minute after we let this sit in the freezer. After we let this sit in the refrigerator. All right guys, our artichokes are ready. They're out of the Instant Pot and they are ready to go on the grill. I know they don't look that good right now, but wait a second. If you guys thought I was about to copy the most respected YouTuber I know of Guga, you've lost your minds. We're not gonna plagiarize Guga. All right, let's get these out on the grill. We're gonna char them up a little bit and they're gonna be ready to eat. We're done. Got our artichokes off the grill. They're nice and flamed up. Got a nice char on the outside, which will give them good smoky flavor. The last thing we're gonna do is peel out this fuzzy part I talked about earlier with a spoon. You can see how easily it's coming out with just a spoon. We'll take that out, dump it in there. And now, these are gonna be ready to eat in just a second. The only thing we got left to do is grab a glass of wine, that nice Cabernet, put a little bit of flake salt on these. We like the Malbon salt. And dig in. Hope you guys enjoyed this raw video from Oil and Soul. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. That's so good. If you like this video, join Oil and Soul for more family-friendly cooking content.